Good morning, everybody. As we do the chitas of the day, today is Wednesday, 21st day of Cheshvan. We are going to go to the Parsha of the week, which we're holding Chayei Sara, and we're going to do the fourth reading of Chayei Sara, which is on chapter 24, verse 27. And he said, Baruch Hashem Elokei Adonai Avram Eliezer. When Rivka responds, not only by giving him water and his camels water, Rivka responds and also says she's a family of Abraham. So he says, "Blessed is the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, that he has not forsaken his loving kindness and his truth. For my master, as for me, the Lord has led me on the road to the house of my master's kingsman, Beis Achi Adoni, the house of my master's family. Rashid Baderech, on the road, on a designated road, the straight road, on the very road I needed. So verse 28, and the young girl ran. She told the house of her mother, like these, what the story that happened to her. The custom in those days that the woman, the mother of the house, had her own tent. And the daughter ran to the mother. Rivka had a daughter, had a brother. Rivka had a brother. So she ran. Ushmai Lavan, and his name was Lavan. And she ran to her brother. Her brother ran. Lavan, and Lavan ran. Elaish, to the man, when she heard there's a guy standing out there. He ran over to the man. Rashi says, why did he run? And what did he run? It came to pass, he saw the nose rings. He saw all the gifts that Rivka got. He said, this person is rich. Maybe he'll give me gifts too. So he ran. Verse number 30. As the verse says, came to pass, he saw the nose ring and the bracelets in the sister's hand. And when he heard the words of his sister Rebecca saying, so did the man speak to me. So he came there, he saw this Eliezer standing over the ayin, over the fountain. Over the camels to guard them. Verse 31, and he told them, Bo, Baruch Hashem, come, blessed is God. Lama tamad bachutz, why are you standing outside? I already cleared the house and a place for the camels. Actually, when we cleared the house of what? Avodah Zarah, I cleared the house for an idol worship. And the man came abaisa to the house. And he unmuzzled the camels. He gave straw and fodder for the camels, mayim, water, to wash his feet, and to feed the men that were with him. And actually, he loosened their muzzles, for he would shut their mouths so they wouldn't graze in the other people's fields. Verse 33, and he set before them food. I cannot eat until I'm going to speak. And he said, speak. Ad im, over here the word im serves expression asher, that, an expression key as, until. So over here, until ad asher im, until I can speak, until I have spoken. Because we know that im stands for, in Aramaic, stands for four kinds of expression. and one of them is Eve, who im, E, which is equivalent to im, if, or that. And the servant said, he said, Eved Avram Anechi, I am a servant of Abraham. Hashem Beirech Azavdeni Moed, and the God bless my master Moed exceedingly. And he gave him cattle, sheep, and cattle, silver and gold, manservants, maidservants, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son for my master. After she became old, and he gave him everything. So he showed her. He showed them the gift. Rashi says the gift deed. My master made me vow that I wouldn't take a wife for his son from the daughters of Canaan, which I live in their land. So unless you go first to the father's house, if she will not wish to come. Verse 38, Vim Leil Beisavi, go to my father's house. Taylor Jagov and Mashpachti, into my family. V'lekachti Yishulvni, take up somebody from my family. I told my master, why perhaps the woman will not follow me. So Rashi says the word Elai, Vayeme Ulai. The word Ulai perhaps is also written with a vav and maybe read Eli, to me. But Eliezer had a daughter, and he was looking for the pretext that Avram would tell him to turn to him and marry his daughter. He had a daughter. Why wouldn't Avram give him a son as a son-in-law? Avram said to, my son is blessed, you're cursed. Because Eliezer was a descendant of Canaan who had been cursed by Noah. And a cursed one cannot unite with a blessed one. So I had no choice. Trust me, I wanted to have this young man from my own son-in-law. But I made a vow. That's maybe Avram made sure he made a vow. Because Avram knew that Eliezer had his eyes on Yitzchak for his own daughter. Hashem, and God said, he told me, Hashem, the Lord who walked before me, Yishra Malachav, he'll send the angels itach with you. And he will make successful your way. You can take a daughter, a woman from my son, from my family, from the house of my father. Verse 41, you will then be absolved of the oath. When you come to my family, and they'll tell you, no, we're not giving you. But you see, then you'll be absolved from my oath. So that's it. So now I'm under oath until you tell me no. When I came to the fountain, I said to God, the God of my master Abraham, if you desire that I should be successful, which if you have that desire, as you can continue, but it says, so Rashi says, today I left. This was the miracle, what's called Kfitz Derech. Today I left, and today I arrived. From here we learned that the earth shrank for him. That's called in Hebrew, Kfitz Derech. He suddenly it became short. His journey was miraculously shortened. Rabacha said the ordinary conversation of a servant to the patriarch is more beloved to God than the Torah to their sons. For the section dealing with Eliezer is repeated in the Torah, where many fundamentals of the Torah was given only through an illusion. So here we see how the Eibishter loves the stories of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. And he repeats this whole thing again and again. We know what Eliezer said to God and what happened, but it re-says it again. Behold, I'm standing on the water fountain. If this maiden will come out, they'll come out to get water. I'll ask her to give me water. ma'at mikadech, from a little bit from her pitcher. Verse 44, V'amilayim, she'll tell me, Gam ata shtei, you shall drink, V'gam lagam mecha shtei, and also to your servant, also to your camels drink. Here, Isha. Now I know. I found a woman who is kind. And I know it's the woman that was given, that was designated for my master's son. Gam ata means gam, also you, means also the people with you. Hayachiach is designated, meaning he's clarified and made known. Likewise, every expression of chacha in the scripture denotes clarification of a matter. Verse 45, I didn't even finish speaking to myself, Alibi. And behold, Rivka has come out. The Kada Shichma, and the pitchers on her shoulder. She went down to the fountain. And she drew water for the fountain. I told her, I ran over to her, I said, Shkeni, give me something to drink. Malachi, verse 46, and she hastened to lower her pitcher. Melah from herself. She said, sure, drink. I also give to, he didn't even ask for the Gemala, but he said, oh God, I'll go give to your camels. They'll drink. And she gave me to drink, and she gave the camels to drink. I asked her, whose daughter? Wow, this is amazing. Whose daughter are you? I am the daughter of Besuel, the son of Nachar. Milcah, who Milcah bore him. I said, wow, she is my master's family. Miracle after miracle after miracle. Look what's happening. I gave her right away the nose and the bracelets on her hands. So Rashi said he reversed the sequence of events. Eliezer didn't say the total truth because he gave her the gift before he asked her who she was. Because in fact, he'd first given her the jewelry and then asked her for the family. But changed the order. At least they catch him in the word and say, how did you give her jewelry when you did not know who she was? So he didn't want them to have any doubts, questions, like, what are you giving this girl things without even knowing that she's who she was? So therefore he changed it a little bit. And he said, I asked her who she was, and then I gave her the jewelry. And I kneeled and I prostrated to God. Avarach Hashem, I bless God. Lekei Adeni Avram, the God of my master Abraham. Asher nechani b'derech, who led me in the path. It's the true path. Kachas bas achi Adeni, to take the daughter of my master's brother, Levnei, to his son. At verse 49, and therefore, if you're going to do an act of loving kindness as Adeni to my master, Agiduli, tell me right now. If not, tell me that and I'll turn to somebody else. I'll go to the Bnei Yishmael. I'll go to the daughters of Ishmael. I'll smell Bnei Lot. I'll go to the daughters of Lot that was living to the left of Abraham. Verse 50, so Lavan and Besuel answered and said, Hashem Yotza David. The matter emanated from God. How can we say anything? Lavan of Besuel. Lavan was the brother. Besuel was the father. Rashi says Rasha. There we see how Lavan was a Rasha. He's standing before his father, and he responds first. Chutzpah, you're not allowed to respond. Now respond in front of your father. To refuse in the matter either to unfavorable reply or even an appropriate reply, because it's obvious that the matter has emanated from God. According to your words, that he's designated her for you. That's it. We have no choice. Here's Rivka. Take her. Take her and go. And let her be a wife for your master. When the Eved Avram heard their words, he said, wow, look, another miracle happened in front of my eyes, that they agreed right away. Here we see that we must give thanks on good tidings. That's why when you hear good tidings, we make a bracha. And that completes the Chumash for today. And now go to the Tanya of the day. Beautiful Tanya continues from the letter, the 29th letter of the Alter Rebbe on the 21st day of Cheshvan. And Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain that in addition to the function of mitzvahs as garments, right? We mentioned Alter Rebbe is explaining how a mitzvah is garments, but these garments are not these garments are extremely very special garments. So you may say, oh, what a garment of the soul. Maybe the soul is greater than the garments. But actually, over here, these garments actually protect the soul. They're greater than the soul because these garments come from the Oil Hashem, from the light of God, that's higher than even the wisdom. The Ratzon, as he explained, comes from the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because we explained that a mitzvah is the will of God, which is higher than Chachma, right? He explained before that will is higher than wisdom, right? Because wisdom, when I have wisdom, it awakens my will. So that shows you that will is higher than wisdom. And this mitzvah comes from the Ratzon Hashem, which is the Oil Hashem that's higher than wisdom. And that's why this mitzvah, every mitzvah, is like a lavush, a garment to the soul. Why does the soul need a garment? Because when the soul is going to be given to him in the light of God, and the soul is going to be revealed, whether in Gan Eden after 120 years or Olam Haba, there's going to be a revelation of God. Tainug Hashem. You're going to be able to have the light of God. It's going to be such a great tainug that the soul might expire, or the soul might be totally consumed in this delight. So that's why the Eibishter gave the soul garments. That's why he said, the Eibishter wanted to give merit to Jews. What's the merit? The merit was that they'll be able to enjoy the tainug havaya. They'll be able to enjoy the delight of God. And that's the mitzvah. So now the Rebbe goes on, the Alter Rebbe goes on to explain that in addition to the function of mitzvahs and garments for the soul, they'll also serve to unite the sublime spiritual level of Kesed, which the physical objects with which the commandments now, because how is it possible, if you think about it, how is it possible to connect Ruchni and Gashmi? Almost impossible. They're opposites. They're polar opposites. But the Eibishter gave us a mitzvah. And that mitzvah comes from such a high place that it has the capability of bringing the unity. As such, they resemble pillars that connect the highest part of the house to the lowest. And that's the power of a mitzvah. And that's what we're going to explain now in the Alter Rebbe. The supernal will of God. Blessed He. Are referred to in Kabbalah, B'Shem Keser Elyon. They are referred to as the supreme crown. Again, a crown, Keser, is the crown that goes above the head of the king. That's why the Keser crowns Chochmah. Chochmah is the head of the king. So Keser goes above it. Keser El Elyon, the supreme crown. Uboy Tarach Imudei Oy. Keser equals up to 620. Chof, Tov, Reish. Tov is 400. Reish is Tov is 400, right? Reish is 200, is 600, and Chof is 20. is 620. Tov Reish Ches Maimudai. 620. Now, do we know we did 613 mitzvahs, but the 7 mitzvahs of the rabbis. So that's the 620. Symbolic to the 620 mitzvahs. Kesser. Peter Derech Mashal, so give an analogy. Take an analogy of a large brick house, and there are pillars in standing on the ground, and they connect. And these pillars connect all the way up to the ceiling, thereby connecting the ground to the ceiling. That is pillars of light. Just like a building has pillars. The truth is, every building, it doesn't make difference how high it is, have pillars that go all the way into the pillars that hold the house together, pillars that go all the way into the ground and go all the way up to the heaven, go all the way up to the top of the roof. You know what happens? Those pillars start to break. The whole building comes down. So too, Kesed Elyon, in the metaphorical speaking, the supernal Kesed transcends the level, which transcends the level of Chachma, which is the highest, innermost sphere, but Kesed goes higher than wisdom. Kesed is the concept, Kesedes, the capital, for it surrounds and encompasses over the brain of that. So, right? So actually, the crown has to fit, and actually the crown would hover over the king. The crown hovers over the king, goes over the king's head, because it's higher than that, than the Chacham. And this Ratzin of the Eibush, which is higher than Chachma, higher than wisdom, and being understanding and das, knowledge, it hovers above them. That Ratzin comes into 613 mitzvahs, V'zayim mitzvah rabban, and 7 mitzvah rabban, which is 620. Sharuban kekula mitzvahs, most of the mitzvahs are physical mitzvahs. Meaning, the performance involves physical action, like tefillin. So it's a physical box. It's made out of physical leather. It came from a physical animal. Written parchments are also a physical animal with ink, which represents the lower and corporal aspects of the lowest 4 spiritual worlds of Asiya. So a mitzvah tefillin, what the Eibush says in the Shema, shall bind on this mitzvah, which is the will of God, comes into account, the height of account. So it goes from the highest levels to the lowest levels. And also most commandments has a verbalization, depends upon speech. So when I put on tefillin, I need to say the Shema. I mean, they make a bracha. Nevertheless, learn Torah is also speech. Nevertheless, even though speech is more spiritual than physical, they too belong to the category of practical action. We know the Gemara says, Akimas Vasav, that when you move your lips, talk, have a mice, it's considered an act. And that's why the Torah says that when you say something, you should do it. Oh, but I can talk whatever I want. But in Torah, speech is not cheap. You know, speech you got to do. When you say something, you got to do it. Because why? Because speech is an action. So it's if you have done an action. Once you've done an action, now you have to complete it. And so too, by a human being, his thought. That's what it says, machshava teva, that a good thought, God connects it to an action. Why? Because thought is also considered by a human being as an action. Such as a command regarding love and all God. For example, better grab the love of God. So it's love of God and fear of God, contemplate God, knowledge of God. These are all imachshava. So when I love God, I'm doing an action, doing a mitzvah. When I fear God, I'm doing a mitzvah. When I learn God, I understand God, I'm doing a mitzvah. So it's also an action. The commandments were given to the physical man in this physical world. Which a man, giving man. The mitzvah, you're giving man is not giving it like to an animal. The Abish didn't give animals the mitzvah. He gave man. Man who has free choice. We can do good or the opposite. Take the soul without a body. Ain't so top. It says it doesn't have to be commanded. A soul, his nature to do good. It's the body, the physical body, who could do good and not do good. He has choice. That's who's given the mitzvah. So the Eibishter took the highest level, put it in the lowest level, and gave it to the person who could, God forbid, not do good, and asked him to do good. So that's why Nimtza, but that's why we compare mitzvahs to these pillars. They go to the highest and they go to the lowest. Nimtza they go to the highest all the way up to the roof. Which is the metaphor is the will of God. Add the others and they come down the lowest. So we know its expression. What comes from the higher goes lower. Metaphorically speaking, they're like hollow pillars that encompass and garb with garments of mitzvah man's neshama ruach. Now you understand. So these garments are like, I take like the pillar. So the garment is like a hollow pillar. I take this pillar and I surround it around me. I'm all the way here on the earth. I take this pillar, I surround it around me, and this pillar is humongous. It goes all the way up to heaven. And through these pillars of mitzvahs, his nefesh, his nefesh, his ruach, and neshama, which is the three lowest levels of his soul, ascend to the highest level. They have like a direct line. That's a beautiful analogy of a hollow pillar. It has like a direct line. Nothing can stop it because it comes from the Ratzon of the Eibishter. It comes from the will of God. So a Jew does a mitzvah here. Direct line connects him straight to the Ratzon of the Eibishter. There's nothing that stops. No stops. There's nothing that can disconnect him. Second, a Jew does a mitzvah, he's connected to God automatically. How is it possible? Doesn't something block it? No, because the mitzvah is like these pillars that has a hollow end in the middle, and he's standing all the way to the lowest level. He's on the ground, and who knows what he's thinking when he's doing the mitzvah, but it's not important. In the action, the mitzvah, that's why there's three levels to every mitzvah, machshava, dibur, ma'aseh. So in the physical action, I put on the tefillin. Maybe I was thinking about something else, but I did the physical action. That ma'aseh ha-mitzvah is like a pillar that surrounds me, and my soul is totally connected. So beautiful. You should run and do mitzvahs. It bonds him with the bond of God, of life. Petershly, it says because he's banded. The second I do the mitzvah, I'm bonded up with the light of Kesser. Ratzon Elya, which is the will of God, the highest level of all the worlds. So that's number one. That's when I'm living in the world. That the mitzvah connects me straight to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not only the wisdom of God connects me to the Ratzon of the Eibishter Kesser. And then number two, and now through this pillar, protects my neshama, that I can now behold the pleasantness of God, the pleasantness of which transcends the level of Kesser. And metaphorically speaking, our pneumius, meaning so Tainug is higher than nothing. Tainug reaches up to the level of Tainug. Which is the inner aspect of Kesser. So the Ratzon is the outer aspect of Kesser, and Tainug is the inner aspect of Kesser. So then this pillar is not only connect me to the Ratzon of the Eibishter, but now it gives me the capability as a two-level thing. Since it reached up to Ratzon, and the Ratzon ultimately, which is Chutzonis HaKesed, the outer aspect of Kesed, it ultimately reaches up to the Pnimis HaKesed, which is the light of Kesed. Tainug. As we explained this before. Though we explained elsewhere that the commandments are the innermost element of the supernal will, while here it's explained that they are merely an external aspect of Kesed, it's the will of Kesed, the external aspect of the supernal will. The Alter Rebbe says, relax. We're talking about Kabbalah, we're talking about godliness, and they're all intermingled. The students of Kabbalah are well acquainted that there's multitude aspects and levels within every aspect and level amongst various levels of holiness. That means everything has everything. So Ratzon has Tainug, and Tainug has Ratzon. They're all intermingled because in Kedusha, in this world, everything has its place. But in these spiritual worlds, everything is intermingled. So therefore, mitzvahs are pnimis and mitzvahs are chetzonius. Mitzvahs have within it tainug, and mitzvahs have within it the ratzon, which is so they're intermingled. Because in that level of ratzon in kesed, there they are intermingled. It's hard to see the difference, even though they are different, ratzon and tainug, but they're so intermingled, and therefore they're almost the same. Panim has numerous aspects face to face, meaning panim is related to pnimius, that relates to a particular spiritual level. Another level is even more internal or nearer to the essence. There are numerous aspects of external to external, meaning the reverse without end. So therefore, you could. That's why in Chassidus, in Kabbalah, if you look at Chassidus in general, it says one time that it's this level, next time it'll say it's that level. In truth, it's both levels because everything is unified there. So thus, related to the internal level of the supernal will spoken about here, mitzvahs are only termed as external, the ratzon, where in another context, our mitzvahs when compared to a lower level, I believe internal aspect. So therefore, the intermingled. So the Alter Rebbe above called the commandments 620 pillars of light of Kesed. How does this agree with the previous statement that the 600 garments of the mitzvah correspond to 600 soul powers? We just now said that it's that's the Ratzon of the Eibishter. So how does it do with what does it do with the neshama? The Alter Rebbe now answers the 7 commandments of the sages, which bring the total to 620, are not self-sufficient mitzvahs, but are branches of the scriptural commandments from which they respectively derive. The soul thus has 613 garments that derive from the 613 commandments. The rabbinical mitzvahs included. These garments guard the 600 powers of the soul. So that's how you get the 620. So the 613, how do you get 620? You have 7 extra. So that's what the Rebbe says. That's why we continue to say 613 mitzvahs. Why don't we say the 620? Because you have 7 rabbinical. We don't say that. We always say there's 613 mitzvahs. Hayag mitzvahs. Well, we don't like the rabbi's mitzvahs. We do the rabbi's mitzvahs. So why don't we mention it, Rebbe? So the Alter Rebbe says we do mention it. We mention the Simya as separate. There's 613 mitzvahs, and the 7 mitzvahs are the rabbis. But we just mentioned Kesed is 620. So really, it's already in Kesed the 620 mitzvahs. But no, the 613 mitzvahs, because the 7 are not considered separate mitzvahs, even though they are, but they're not. You're not allowed to add mitzvahs, but they are part of the 613. Because even the rabbi's mitzvahs, They always have to find a pasuk. That's why when the Gemara says, "How do you know what Chanukah is?" Where do we find Chanukah in the Torah? I mean, it's a good. How can the Chanukah be in the Torah? Chanukah happened thousands of years after the giving of the Torah. But the Chazal say, no, we can't just come up with a mitzvah, even though it's a rabbinical mitzvah. Where's in the Torah? Where's put him in the Torah? Put him is a rabbinical mitzvah. Where's put him in the Torah? And the Gemara needs to find put him in the Torah, and it finds it. Why? Because it comes from the 613 mitzvahs. Because ultimately, it's thus comes from the 613 mitzvahs. They are called the rabbinical mitzvahs, but they come from the 613 mitzvahs. So that's why we continue to say the 613 mitzvahs. Even though the 620 with the rabbis, but the 7 come from the 613. So really, there's only 613, and the rabbis derive from the 613 another, so to say, another mitzvah that one of the mitzvahs bring out another mitzvah what the rabbis added to the 613, the 7 mitzvahs. So as previously, the mitzvahs are like 613 hollow pillars that encompass and guard the neshama or ruach or nefesh of the individual who performs the commandments. It is through these pillars that the soul rises to the greatest heights and is bound in the radiance of Kesed. Additionally, it's through the garments of the mitzvah that the soul is able to behold the pleasantness of God and to experience the pleasurable thirst that radiates even to Pnimis HaKesed, which is the Tainug. And that's really not to lose, even though the Alter Rebbe went a little bit on a different concept, but we shouldn't forget the main thing the Alter Rebbe wanted to bring out, that through a mitzvah, everybody should realize that through the mitzvah that they do, they connect. First of all, they connect to the essence of God, to ultimately the Tainuk, which is a higher level of will. And number 2 is they give the soul the capability to receive that Tainuk. Because if the soul didn't have the protection of the mitzvah, the soul would lose itself in the delight of God. That completes the Tanya of today. Today is the 21st day of the month of Cheshvan. The Tehillim, Psalms of the day, is 104 and 105. 104 and 105. My friends, I invite you all to tonight at 7:30 at Chabad. We're going to have Crossfire. 4 great rabbis from our community are going to come, and we're going to ask them quick questions that we didn't tell them the questions, and they have 60 seconds to answer. So hopefully we will cover 40 subjects tonight. Quick questions, deep questions, and we're going to have a great night of learning. 7:30 tonight at Chabad, 7:30 to 8:30 tonight, Crossfire. You don't want to miss it. Come, and you'll have an hour of intense learning by 4 beautiful rabbis, great rabbis of our community. Have a great day. See you tomorrow,
Thank you, Rabbi.
8 o'clock. We'll continue the chitas of the day.